Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ATI Podcast. We're in here for another episode, and we've got back with us on the program, Andy Schriefenbrock from Destroy the Brain. How are we doing, Andy?
Doing good, doing good.
So happy to have you back on, sir. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a night off in the conversation.
It's always awesome because you catch me in the moments where I'm like, yeah, everything's done.
Kinda, right? Yeah, I know. And then you got the all-day Grindhouse coming up here very soon. So that's definitely one thing we're going to hit on. In fact, next weekend, as we're talking now. So, and then I did see an announcement, at least in your description of your Instagram, that you guys have a June event also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we do already have our June show booked. And I'm actually surprised. Oh, no, I'm not surprised. I know exactly why I haven't promoted it. It's because I'm focused on the all-day Grindhouse stuff. So we got our badges in for this year. Funny enough, when I did this last year, things that you learn as a business person that pays for all this shit, I think I spent like an extra $120 just to have the holographic paper, because I was looking at the invoice. I'm like, man, this year's is like considerably cheaper. And I thought about doing the holographic thing. And I'm like, well, how much would it be if I did that? And then I saw the difference. I'm like, oh my God, did I just do that because I was like, oh, this looks cool? Yes. The answer is yes. Last year, that's why I did it.
I love it.
And also probably because I didn't really have a design, which this one, same kind of deal if you really think about it, but it still looks fine.
Sure. Absolutely. Did you go through the same company to have them both made?
I did.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they're not local. I try to do everything local, but
Right. Yeah, that unfortunately becomes quite challenging. But so yeah, we definitely have those events to talk about. I know you guys have some trivia coming up, and as I've smartened people up before on here, which I failed to do the early times that you were on here, is the fact that you guys, of course, have like the surprise early viewings and things like that that people can partake in. If they follow you on social media, you're pretty good about announcing that stuff. So lots and lots of stuff to talk about tonight still yet. I guess, Andy, let's start all day Grindhouse.
Right.
So this is the fourth one. And I know we can only talk about so much, of course. So in the event that somebody's hearing this for the first time, let's run over the format once again.
Yeah. So something we started in 2022. We didn't get to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, which was 2020. I wonder why. So we started something like, and this was back when we called it really dumb. I obviously wasn't thinking. My brain was destroyed. It was LNGH turns 12. I'm like, oh, this will be a one-time thing. I never thought we would be able to do it again. I figured the theater would be like, oh, fuck this. We're not doing this. This is stupid. We're going to have the same fucking people in the theater all day? Who cares?
Sure.
But actually, they really dug it because obviously I think they saw an increase in like concessions and stuff because some people don't want to leave. Some people do want to leave. They'll be like, oh, I've seen this fucking movie. I need a break. Because I got to look through the numbers, but I think this is going to be the longest marathon, and I've clocked it at about 14 and a half hours.
So if we know anything from last year, you can go ahead and add an hour.
No.
That wasn't that much.
I'm sure the time is accurate this time, but it's still like, I think last year we got out around 1:30. It's probably going to be the same, but we're also starting an hour early this year. So we're starting at 11. Which kind of plays into the first double feature. And what I'm going to do is, because I've been holding a secret too long, the whole thing's secret. Nobody knows except for like a handful of people, and they signed blood oaths to keep it secret. I mean, I got the contract. Anyway, so you buy a seat. You go along for the ride. and you're going to see 8 films. I probably could have done 7, but I love the double feature format that we do. So we do 8 films. Nobody knows what the hell they are. You'll know as soon as either you recognize the film or more than likely when the title hits the screen. And we do it in a double feature format, which is something that I've really dug because I challenged myself to make like a theme of those double features. And I'll fully admit, sometimes it's very obscure, and there might be a couple in here which are like easy titles, but I think it works, right? The 4 double features that we're doing this year, the themed double features. And so these are like fake titles. That's kind of what we do it as. And the first double feature is Who Spiked My Cereal? I'm not gonna expand on these because I want to keep some secret to it.
Sure, absolutely.
You'll have to hear the spiel on the day of. The second one is Don't Deliver Us from Cine, like cinema. Okay.
Okay.
I almost labeled it as Deliver Us from Cine because like deliver us from sin or whatever.
Right.
But I was like, no, I don't want to be delivered from that. So then the third double feature is 2 Bites Out of the Big Apple. And then the fourth double feature, I'm pretty certain this is the final title because I've kind of putzed around and tried to figure out, but I think I'm going to keep it basic and say we have The Exorcist at home. So it's not The Exorcist, nor is it the sequels. But the great thing about All Day Grindhouse is that I get to show shit that maybe I won't be able to advertise on the monthly basis. So typically Late Night Grindhouse is a monthly show, right? And then All Day Grindhouse is kind of our birthday party because we're turning 15 this year on May 14th. So it'll be after the marathon, but not too far after.
Finally old enough to drive a car.
Yeah. We're going to start learning how to drive. But yeah, it's wild that I've been able to do this. And like, it seems like the theater still wants to keep doing it. There was a little bit of like back and forth. We were trying to see if we could get another auditorium this year, but I don't know if it's logistics. But the thing is like, I think we have the second biggest auditorium at that theater. So we would probably be taking away possibly a big audience from like Thunderbolts or whatever, even though it's in its second weekend at that point. But it is what it is. And quite honestly, it's kind of, I'll say this, it is kind of nice to have a little bit of an exclusivity because I feel like there's a sense of urgency that where people are like, oh shit, I can't like dilly-dally. I have to buy the tickets now. Otherwise, I'm fucked, and I'm going to watch the movie like a row away from the screen.
Right.
Because the tickets did go on sale, and they sold.
Yeah, there's I believe I just looked before we got on here, and there was like 11 available. I want to say
there's
maybe
11 seats. Somebody in row H gave up their seat. I don't know who it is, but I've been kind of obsessively checking how many seats we're selling and like trying to stay within a budget. And this year I haven't like gone too crazy. I think we're still going to do shirts, but we're going to do the pre-order thing. It just works best.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite honestly, it's kind of like summer camp at the movie theater.
Definitely.
But we're celebrating the, grindhouse genre, if you want to call it that. It's really genre and exploitation and cult films. And it's some stuff like, hopefully, I hope that you're walking away and saying, oh shit, I've never seen a majority of those films. What I love about it is people are able to take a chance on something that maybe they wouldn't have been able to take a chance on, like just hearing or seeing poster art of a movie title. Be like, oh, that looks interesting. I don't know if I'm going to get out of the fucking house and pay, $12, get in my car, go there, do that. I totally get that. But I love I've always called it like a cinematic journey or a cinematic discovery. And what's really cool is, I've been lucky enough to like program some really cool films that have made an impact on the audience, and like they walk out and say, oh shit, I got to buy it now because I got to just show other people. And that's really what it's about, in my opinion.
I mean, I can obviously, I've spoken to the experience previously, but went to the one last year, and, seeing those themes and how they play out as far as how you program the movies in the double feature format. Like the first one was Saturday Morning Punch, and then that was the 2 karate films. So that was really fun, unexpected, but very much Grindhouse.
And that's what I wanted to do. I mean, that's a perfect fucking example, because like if I advertise those films, as standalones or even as like a kung fu double feature, maybe that would do better. But I guarantee you it still wouldn't get 140 people, dedicated people to see it. And that's really what it's all about, is just introducing people to really cool shit.
Absolutely. And, I've been following Late Night Grindhouse for a while, been to several screenings, and, obviously the majority of what is picked is horror or thriller adjacent. It was nice to actually see that karate film in the mix for once. It was a nice change and an unexpected surprise. So I would say that people might be anticipating similar surprises this year.
Hopefully. We'll see.
And
we'll see.
I know I'd asked you before what your limitations are, kind of just where your mind cuts off, like year-wise, like what's the latest released or newest film I'm going to show in my programming?
I mean, this year, I'm trying to think, I actually wrote this all down.
You showed Mandy again, which is kind of an exception, and there's been a few.
With the regular program with Late Night Grindhouse, I mean, there was a moment, and it's something I would love to get back to, but just haven't really had the chance with the pair, is to, show a repertory program month by month, but also have a new film show that's in the vein of, like, the other films that we show. So, like, in the past, we've shown Hobo is Shotgun, we've shown the Maniac remake, we've shown Beyond the Black Rainbow when it first came out. And then, we showed Mandy, which has probably been our most successful new run in general with the program. But, like, it's one of my favorite movies. It's also, in my opinion, like a prime example of, like, you have, not to sound like an asshole or a snob, but you haven't seen Mandy until you've seen Mandy on a big screen in a big fucking theater with very loud sound. And that's not even just Late Night Grindhouse. Like Alamo, you have the luxury of seeing it at Alamo Drafthouse as well. They play it on a yearly spin as we do. But we kind of made it a tradition, I guess, a couple of years back with April shows, because it's like, it's my birthday month, so I'm like, oh, let me just spoil Andy. And, we did the Panos Cosmatos double feature, then we did Heavy Metal and Mandy, and then we did Altered States and Mandy, which was cool.
Yes.
And then this year we did Night Beast and Mandy, which people are like, what the fuck's Night Beast? Or they were like, why are you playing Night Beast? I'm like, oh, it's the last movie that Mandy and Red get to watch together before shit hits the fan. So
yeah.
But if you've never seen Mandy, can you hold off until like maybe next April, and I'll probably show it again?
Yeah. Well, hell, watch it, but then get that theater experience that you must have with Mandy. Yeah. So
put the training wheels on, which is
do both the things.
There you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would say that the really cool thing about the all-day grind is leaning into those unexpected turns. Another really cool thing that happened was we saw Peeping Tom and we saw the extended cut.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes those deals and the juggling that you do, part of the magic act, I should say, as a booker of these events, is kind of getting those rights maybe sometimes at the last minute, or there's films that you've been working on for some period of time to get the rights to show. Was there any of those troubles that tasked you this year with this marathon?
Year, surprisingly, and I'm going to knock on my desk, smooth.
Okay.
I had no problems. It's probably the easiest. I think it's about the easiest booking I was able to do, because here's what I'll say is, it was like not that long ago when I secured everything. But I keep a notebook by my side and I'll write. I'm not going to, can I open this? I can open some of this.
Not too many.
I have
drawings.
Lottery shit in here, even though I barely play the lottery. But like, I have a list of titles, which I'll, go through here, and you only saw white, so it works.
Yeah.
But I'll write down titles. I'll write down double features. Like, I literally have a couple of these I could show because I didn't choose them. But I think with All Day Grindhouse, it's really cool because I think of the flow of how I want to do it. The only bad thing about it is, like, I often question how well the two films flow together. So typically, at worst, I'm going to the extent of popping in the Blu-ray and watching the first 5 minutes, then the last 5 minutes, and then try to immediately start the next movie and be like, yeah, it flows, or that theme really shows or connects.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the challenge with this is, I mean, I could pick random films and just do them one by one, right? There's plenty of marathons that do that, and I think that's really cool. I also love marathons that announce what the hell they're showing, but I think for, I only know St. Louis And I feel like St. Louis is one of those markets where people are willing to take a chance
Definitely
on something like this. And you can get away with like, hey, let's just do this really fun, crazy thing where you don't know what the fuck you're getting into. And what I will say, this is no knock on Marcus, but if you look at our past advertising, you'll notice that it was always said as a mystery movie marathon. We can't do that anymore. So Marcus has like a proprietary thing called the Marcus Mystery Movie. And I think they were a little concerned like somebody would get mixed up.
Brand confusion.
It was their own mystery movie marathon. And then here's me making an ass out of myself. We're like, oh, the first one's called Who Spiked My Cereal? Good luck.
Yeah.
And yeah, who knows? So yeah, that had to be cleared up, but I'm like, you know what, that's fine. Let's nail it down. I definitely told them I wanted to try to do 11 o'clock, and it works best for that double feature anyway, I think. But yeah, I think, the pre-show's technically going to start probably about like 5 minutes prior to 11, but the content actually starts at 11. So like now I'm in that phase where I'm trying to finalize a couple of other things, content delivery wise, but then I'm going to work on the schedule. But I mean, this shit's happening, like, I don't know when this episode's coming out, but the time we're recording this show's next Saturday.
Yeah, right.
And I'm also still waiting on a couple of things on coming in. Like, we got a new backdrop that we ordered, and then we'll have like a very limited supply of Nalgene water bottles, which will have like late night grind, the new line cinema late night grindhouse logo that this guy Matt. I always forget how to pronounce his last name, but Matt from Unfleshing. If you're familiar with like some local bands in St. Louis, he's a awesome dude. And like I went to a couple of different graphic designers to try to do a late night grindhouse new line cinema homage, and he was the only one that really knocked it out of the park. So we're slapping that on a bottle, which hopefully people will buy, because those are not cheap, I found.
Yeah.
They are glow in the dark. I mean, I don't know.
That's cool. Very cool.
But yeah, they're also useful. You can fill it up during the way. It's almost like a souvenir cup.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shit, that's what I should have slapped on the side. Like, all day Grindhouse souvenir cup. Damn it.
Yeah, missed opportunity. There's always next.
I can only think so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the allure of the double feature in programming and having a connecting theme, it probably helps you too, because I know like the vast knowledge that you have, and sometimes you have to kind of like put yourself into boxes or put parameters on it, put the bumpers up.
Definitely. So I mean, it's almost like a filter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now I can be like, okay, my scope is this fucking big, and now I can narrow it down, because I know I'm looking for a certain subgenre or a certain theme.
Right.
That definitely does help. But it also kind of hinders it, because like there are movies I would love to show that I know would do well with that like secret format, but I can't find a companion film, or, like maybe the pacing might be
tonally
not marathon level, And I do kind of worry. I'll say this, like on a personal level, I do worry about a little bit of the pacing this year, especially the second double feature is a little heavy. I do think they're two really, I think all the films are great. I mean, I know obviously I'm biased, but like the first one's a new discovery. I'll tell you that much. It's not a new film. It's a new discovery.
Okay.
And I really dug it. I would not advise anybody to look up the author of the novel it's based on, because he's kind of a piece of shit, but
unfortunately that's all too common. That is all too common.
Unfortunately. But it's a really interesting movie made in an interesting time, and especially the format it's in. It's like, what the fuck? Am I watching a giallo? That's all I'm gonna say.
Very cool.
And then the second one's actually really close, near and dear to my heart, because I grew up with it a lot on cable, and I used to do something that the main character does, and I know I got it from the fucking movie, and it was just something habitually you did as a kid, like some fucking prank where you hide somewhere like you shouldn't be, and then you're like, I got you.
Right.
And maybe nobody's even around. You're just being a fucking idiot. I definitely did this one move that this kid does in this movie, because that kid does it in this movie. And I almost got like the cops called in on me. So
wow,
I have like all these little personal stories, which hopefully we'll get to flesh out because I think we're going to bring back the Destroy the Brain podcast this summer.
Very
and cool. I feel like we're going to try to maybe do a show on the marathon. It might not be until like a couple of weeks after, but it is something we're talking about because we're also doing something in July that hasn't really been announced, which we can get into later. But yeah, I mean, those first two movies I really dug as a theme, and I think it'll become kind of apparent. And the second movie is not unpopular, but it's weird because like I'll talk to people and they have never seen it, and then when I tell them like, "Hey, here's who's behind the camera," they're like, "Oh fuck, shit, that's shit I want to watch." But yeah, that's the second or the first double feature is great. The second double feature is very heavy, but oh man, it's two pretty influential but off kilter kind of horror movies.
Okay.
And maybe not off kilter, but like not normal. I'll just go that
avant-garde.
Yeah. I'm trying to be like coy, but it's also late. No. I mean, yeah. Obviously, religion's a theme in it. So, the third double feature is one that I really like the first movie in that double feature quite a bit. And I don't think it gets the recognition that it should. And what's interesting is somebody was breaking down to me, like, if you look at the all-day Grindhouse format and you look at that fifth feature, the fifth and sixth features seem to be something with like the movies or something that's more tuned. Not this year. The only thing that I would say is that they are products of New York City. I don't think that's blowing the pooch, but they're two movies that were part of that era. They definitely played 42nd Street. One's from the 70s, one's from the 80s, and I fucking dig them. So hopefully people really like that first one out of the gate. And then the second one I think is no slouch either. It's in a subgenre that I've definitely played before, but yeah, I'm super stoked on that. And
it's not Hercules in New York either. All right.
No. The last double feature is the one that we've shuffled around in my head for a long time. And I actually consulted with my buddy Jeremy, who I do horror trivia with. And he's pretty much the only one that kind of knows on the ground what the hell we're fucking doing. Because typically, like, I get to a point where I'm like, yes, that's fucking solid. Yes, that's solid. And then I'm like, shit, I'm starting to second guess myself. What plays better here? And we kind of did a shuffle with some movies. And I also knew that, like, I'm not going to say it's a regret yet, because I still haven't seen how everything plays, right?
Right.
But I will say that, like, I think in past years, it's been really nice to kind of go up and down with like comedic stuff. Like, Primal Rage is a horror movie, but it's also like fucking weird and off.
Absolutely.
And, Silent Madness, that's also weird and often there's like this 50 schlock feel to it, but it's also an 80s horror movie. But there's kind of like lighthearted stuff. And the first two movies I think I don't know if I'd say they were lighthearted, but they're fine. They're not like, we're not watching Sallow. We're not watching fucking Cannibal Holocaust. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
The second one is probably the heaviest. And then the third one, I mean, there's some heavy themes in it. So I'm like, fuck, there's a lot of serious shit. I need something light. And I was trying to figure out how to put that, like, sandwich that, right? But I couldn't. So the fun stuff happens in the last double feature. I'll say that. And it's been kind of a switcheroo of movies. I knew of a certain theme that I wanted. And I hope people dig it. I don't know. We'll see. It's always funny because every time you always talk to me right before the marathon. And I'm always on like, I don't know how the fuck this is going to play. Like last year, I was a little worried because I thought people would fucking lynch me for Julie Darling and Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. But it was fine. I just overthink things. So
sure. Well, you mentioned bringing Jeremy in on talking some thoughts.
Yeah.
And it is good to bring in another party sometimes because, as you said, you can get kind of lost in your own thoughts, lost in the sauce, as they say.
Definitely. And you'll just second guess yourself all day. So it's good to have somebody like say, no, that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, switch it up.
Yeah, and he's got bonus points for me because he likes Wishmaster.
Yeah, oh, he loves Wishmaster.
And then also we got to talk about what's coming up in June. You've got the late night Grindhouse feature of Phenomena, not to be confused with Phenomenon, the John Travolta movie from 1996.
Maybe I should do the same thing that I did with Jack Frost, where I played a little bit of the Michael Keaton Jack Frost before actually playing Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, that's June 6th and 7th. It's so... I thought ahead. I'm like, hey, let me book June and get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, this Mandy is actually what messed everything up because it took forever to get the rights secured. It was very odd.
Oh, really?
But... yeah, the movie that I've shown the most.
Yeah.
I had the most difficulty with. It was weird, but we got it. So, June 6th and 7th is probably the last Dario Argento film that I feel like showing. Because I think I've shown everything else. I've shown everything that I think is worth a damn. But obviously, like, explore Argento. There might be things you love. You might love him filming his daughter in a shower in Stendhal syndrome.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
different breed that Argento.
Yeah, that's not for me, bro. But Phenomena, I love. I love Phenomena. And last year we got to show Opera, which in my opinion was probably his last really great grandiose kind of.
I wanted to see that one so bad in the theater.
Oh, it was great.
I missed that. Totally bummed.
I get it. Dude, I get it. But yeah, Phenomena is like such a fucking weird movie. I love it. It's got Jennifer Connelly in it. It's got Donald Pleasance in it. It's got a killer fucking soundtrack. It's got Maiden. Yeah, there's just, it's basically like, Dario Argento didn't make Demons, right? But he's plastered on the wall because he presented it. He ushered in the director, which was Lamberto Bava, son of
Mario,
the great Mario Bava. But yeah, like, Dario Argento still had a say in that soundtrack of Demons, and it feels like he's just basically doing the same shit here in Phenomena, and it's kind of like that in Opera a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a better mix, but yeah, I love Phenomena. It's a batshit insane movie. I remember like renting it at the local Deerbergs back in the day when I lived off of Tesson Ferry, and I rented, it was called Creepers. I'm like, what the fuck is this? There's bugs everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it. I'm like, this doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
As an adult, it still doesn't really make too much sense, but it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to show that. We teamed up with AGFA, so we'll be showing the 4K restoration that Synapse Films did.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Hell yeah.
It will be at 10 p.m. because I feel like we always have to remind, here's our normal schedule. It's 10 p.m., $10, Marcus to pair 14.
Hell yeah. Well, that is one I would like to see in the theater as well. And, as a young man being born in the 80s, I've always got that Jennifer Connelly crush. And, so epic.
Career opportunities gift.
Yes.
Just blast that right here.
Yes. Oh, please. Thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, and what was really funny, before I do any podcast with anybody, actually, I have a little bit of a hype scenario. So I throw on some music that I feel like, I don't know, it's going to jazz me up for the conversation. Usually I talk to bands, so usually it's that band's music or a band that's similar to them.
Sure.
But, when it's somebody like you, I'm going to have on the program, I get the luxury of having a little bit more freedom with it. And I was actually listening to the new Def Heaven album, which is in the background.
Oh,
here.
Nice.
And I came across...
I still haven't listened to it.
Oh, dude, it's incredible. It's their best since Sunbather, I think.
Nice.
So same rarefied air. But
okay.
I was listening to this for like the 100th time with headphones on, came across a fan edit trailer of Phenomenon. And I was like, I'm just going to turn the music a little bit down, just enough to audibly hear, what's being said, because it was a little dry on the music. The music was really light. I'm not sure what they did with that, but if they took like the original trailer source material or what. Now, eventually toward the end, there's a little bit of that heavier, more intense stuff in there, but that's when it started. But it was actually kind of working, the trailer.
Nice.
With the, all right. So I like to, when those strange coincidences play out.
I like it. Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. That even had me a little bit more pumped up to go see it in the theater, because I've seen it, but it's been a while, and I've seen tons of movies since. And I'm a guy that doesn't really rewatch a ton of movies. For me to watch a movie like 4 or 5 times, I mean, it really has to be special. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
But, It's just, I don't know if it's a time thing. Some of it is, I feel like some of the special nature of it is, this is my wife and I's favorite thing about seeing any movie together. It's just kind of walking away, sitting in silence often for like, 15 to 30 minutes. And then kind of just slowly talking about what what worked for the movie for us, what didn't work for the movie, what we may have done differently with the movie. I just like the thought process that goes into, and then you get the opportunities to go back and listen to podcasts from the directors or watch interviews and get more of that backstory and understand why decisions were made. Sometimes it reshapes your opinion of the movie. So I like to allow that time for things to breathe, I guess is the short of my point before I start rewatching over and over. But yeah, this is one that's due for a rewatch as well.
Yeah. And to that point, like sometimes there's movies that you walk away from and you have a better memory of it being a better movie.
Yes.
Because it kind of feels like this weird, not maybe a fever dream, but you're getting the highlight reel, right?
Right.
And then you go watch it again and you're like, oh, I kind of forgot about some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then some,
not to be like, that's Phenomena. Phenomena is just crazy. And 100% you'll enjoy every minute.
Yeah. And it's not to say too, like some things age well and some things don't too. Some movies are very of the time. I've started
like
to kind of
Porky's?
Exactly. Yeah, most of those National Lampoon movies, basically from the 70s into the 80s, you can just go ahead and plaster those right on there. Yep, absolutely. Or the failed, I guess, try and reboot or rebirth of National Lampoon movies in the mid 2000s that was equally terrible, but
I kind of forgot about,
but in a very different way.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, those were your Van Wilder movies and all that shit.
Oh man,
what a time! What a time to be alive. But I was perusing your guys' website beyond the Phenomenon event and seeing kind of what you guys had in the pipeline. I know you guys already have in July announced, I guess, one of your trivia nights and even the October trivia nights up there.
Yeah, so this year we came back because last year we did like a bi-yearly thing where we just did April and October. I mean, Jeremy and I, it's like, shit, is it our 11th year? I think it's our 11th year this year doing horror trivia. So like our April show that we just did was our 11th year. God knows how many shows we did. But this year, we did one in February, we did one in April. So the next one's July 24th. It's a Thursday night. I know that's tough, but it's a lot of fun. And we're starting at 7:30 instead of 8. We've been we experimented with that with this last show and it seemed to work out pretty well. We were done by 10:30. Probably could have been done earlier, but we wanted to make sure people were getting a bang for their buck. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. 3 Floyds came on to sponsor us. Super, super nice. Really good beer. So they may move on to sponsor us for Late Night Grindhouse. We'll see what happens. But
cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And then October, what is that? October 10th?
I believe it's the 10th. Yeah.
Is our Halloween kind of horror trivia night where we go all out and we'll have somebody try to say or scream, "Oh my God, the longest."
Yeah.
Good times.
Absolutely.
But yeah, in July, we're not going to do a Late Night Grindhouse in July. We're taking a break for the reason is the theater's going to have way too many movies to kind of deal with.
Yeah, July is nuts.
It's a big, it's a big month, like every weekend, there's not like a small film that we could probably squeeze in.
I think Superman, Jurassic Park, and then what the hell was the other movie? I just lost
it. Fantastic Four. That comes out later. Yeah, Fantastic Four.
All within 3 weeks of each other come out. So
it's insane.
Yeah, it's obscene.
So I'm like, you know what? That's fine. We have horror trivia night that month, but we also there's a filmmaker up here in St. Louis, Paul Hibbard, who does HysteriaFest at Arcadon Cinema, which is off of Gravois and Bevo, right next to the Heavy Anchor where we do horror trivia. In fact, he did a little fundraiser for Missouri Abortion Fund and raised some ungodly amount, like $2,500.
Nice.
Which was amazing. But it was a fundraiser where he was showing Revenge, the first film from Coralie Forget, the director of The Substance that came out.
Yeah.
The award-winning The Substance.
Yes.
But yeah, so in July, he's going to do his film festival of HysteriaFest, and it's going to highlight Canadian cinema. And we've already agreed to do a live podcast there.
Nice.
He hasn't really given me any direction, which is funny because he is a director, but he hasn't given me any direction, like what he wants on the podcast. I told him, I'm like, well, why don't we fucking talk about Canadian films?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to do. But yeah, that's not like officially announced because we're kind of still trying to iron everything out. But it will be, I think his festival is July 10th through the 13th, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's a little before, it's like 2 weeks before Horror Trivia. So July is now busy again. I'm back to doing 2 events.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back to normal Late Night Grindhouse schedule back in August. I still don't have the dates. That's going to get ironed out probably after the marathon. So,
well, that's exciting to hear because I didn't know anything about the little film fest.
Oh yeah, man!
There in July, so
it's pretty cool. He gets like some independent films, some classic repertory films. Like this year. He's showing Dead Rainers from Cronenberg. He's showing Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. And I'm trying to think, Curtains, I think, is one of them.
Oh,
if not the last one. I can't remember. But you can go to, I think it's just HysteriaFest.com. I should probably check that. Before I'm promoting something and, you go to a porn site or something.
Yeah, we will definitely have links in the episode description and details. It is not
HymanFest.com. It's
and this
Hysteria.
is in no way an endorsement of that.
It's
unless they want to pay us, then we'll endorse it all day long.
It's HysteriaFilmFest.com. See, there is a reason I looked. But yeah, it's July 10th and 13th. Badges are on sale now, and it looks like I think it's like $50 or maybe it's a little less. I can't remember. When I go to buy tickets, it doesn't take me to where I need to go, so I'm just buying time. Okay. I tried.
It's all right.
I tried, Paul.
we will have a link in the episode details so people can check that out further as well. Andy, is there anything else in the pipeline that you can talk about with Late Night Grindhouse this year?
No, there's some loose rumblings, but I can in no way, shape, or form talk about them because, quite honestly, they're so infancy. I have no clue if they'll pan out, and I feel like I've done that before, where I've talked about something that like is cooking, it's simmering, and it doesn't happen. Like I was supposed to be on a couple of commentary tracks, A lot of that was my own fault though, because I was just too fucking busy. But yeah, no. Hopefully there might be something going on later this year with Late Night Grindhouse. I'll just say that. Obviously, like. A really great way. I mean, social media is cool. We're on Letterboxd. We'll have the whole film list of the marathon probably the day after the marathon. We'll have that published. So like if you want to know, maybe you're not in the St. Louis area or you weren't able to make it, because I know that there's only like, as of today, 11 tickets and that's all front row pretty much. If you weren't able to make it though, like we'll have a list so you can check out the films. I think most of them are streaming. Don't quote me on that, but like Letterboxd will tell you if they are. So they're all available on disc now. So they're easily acquirable. I know in the past, like some people in our Discord server, which you can join at discord.destroythebrain.com. They've been kind of like going back and revisiting their home versions of the like first 2 marathons. And Madman's like out of print. And there was another title that went out of print or is hard to get. I'm like, well, it'll come back in print. And sure shit, Madman is actually coming back in print later this year.
Very cool.
I want to say maybe even next month. But I hope that this other thing pans out that I'm alluding to, because I think that would be really cool, especially for our 15th year of Late Night Grindhouse. But outside of that, podcast. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, another cool thing that you guys started doing, and I don't remember if we talked about it last time, is that you have the text update system now.
That's actually where I was heading. Yeah. So social media is cool. But yeah, you can text the word conjure, CONJURE. I had to make sure I spelled it right. Text conjure to 866. What is it? 866-521-4666. And basically that puts you on a text message list, and anything like super important, whether we have like free tickets to give away, because sometimes we will do that, but our Late Night Grindhouse programs, all of our like DTB events, we'll usually announce in there. With the marathon, I mean, like, fuck, if you want to do that next year, definitely tap into, like, I would say our Discord server, because that's typically where we give people a head start. I don't know how much longer we can keep doing that, but
yeah,
just because I think people figure things out way faster.
right.
We found that
Right.
out last year. Like, we put the tickets on sale 15 minutes prior to the time we announced. We announced noon, and we're like, hey, really make them available at 11:45 so I can buy those tickets. This year, well, somebody like bought like 5 tickets, I think, last year before they went on sale,
Wow.
and before I announced on Discord.
Wow.
I'm like, fuck. So this year we changed it up a little bit and did something different, but I still had to like have that pressure buy as well as everybody else. I just knew how to access it before everybody else.
Right.
But like, I was trying to make a noon screen time of Sinners at IMAX, and here I am like at 11:40 something trying to fucking buy tickets for my own goddamn marathon. Oh my god damn it. There must be a better way to do this, so I'm not like stressing, but it is what it is.
How was the Sinners IMAX experience? I didn't get to see it in
Sinners,
an IMAX, but
well,
I did see it.
I don't know if it's coming back in St. Louis, but they are bringing it back after the Thunderbolts contract is up, because it's already pretty much tracking that, like, they shot themselves in the foot by doing Thunderbolts, but obviously it's a film that likes that big format. I think maybe some of the scenes may have been filmed in IMAX, so
I believe they are.
So yeah, it makes sense, and it's just kind of unfortunate timing, I guess, for that movie.
Definitely.
But Sinners, you know, like, I read a report today that like 20% of gross is from IMAX for that movie. And I'm like, holy shit. So of course, like, it leaving IMAX, they're going to lose 20%. It's going to be a 20% drop. But no, the movie's great. You know, it's a little over 2 hours. I'm not going to say it speeds by, but it's not like snail's pace.
No, it moves.
I think it's really rich in a history, and it took a little bit of a turn. And I'm not talking about like the turn that everybody's referencing. I fully didn't expect a music legend to be in it. So I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, as soon as that happened, I was like, whoa, hello.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And I think on a personal level, like, my dad really liked blues music, and he really liked jazz. My mom was like more into the hippie music, and like, she liked rock music. I remember bonding with my mom because I saw Rage Against the Machine with my mom at Riverport. I will always call it Riverport. Fuck you.
Absolutely.
And like, she bought a bootleg Rage Against the Machine VHS tape from like New Jersey or whatever. That is still in my collection. I found it the other day. It was kind of crazy. But where I'm going with this is, like, Sinners felt like this kind of culmination of my parents in a weird way, both like, you know, musical tastes kind of melding and like what my mom likes in movies, and it was just really interesting to watch. So I took that as one level, but yeah, the movie's great. The soundtrack's great, the score's great, everything's really good about it, man. And I love that it's like thriving, and the fact that they have to pull it away from IMAX, but they wouldn't if they just fucking paid attention to the sales. I mean, obviously the mouse rules all. So
obviously, yes, without question. And I mean, it's sorry to say, but like, Ryan Coogler keeps getting underestimated, and he keeps fucking killing it. Like, whether you are into like boxing movies or whatever, it's really irrelevant, because those Creed movies are fantastic. Like, objectively, you know, he's just got to, I mean, I've been watching him since Fruitvale Station. That was the first movie I saw of his, because it was a story I wasn't familiar with. And when I started to read about it, you know, I was like, oh, this is wild. I didn't even know this happened. And then, you know, once I watched the movie, I was like, wow, this director really has something to say. And I was already a Michael B. Jordan fan. I think Chronicle had come out before that. And I really liked Chronicle. I thought it was grossly underrated. Well, you can go back to The Wire with Michael B. Jordan, actually, technically. You know, I guess that's maybe the earliest thing I saw him in. But that marriage of those two, and then you have the marriage of him and the guy who did the soundtrack, Ludwig. You know, they went to USC together. I think.
It's pretty wild.
Which was weird to find out. But makes sense why he's on his soundtracks for all of his movies now.
Right.
You know, when I think of him, I always think of his soundtrack he did for Tenet as well, because that was just so intense, and, you know, Nolan's worked with Hans Zimmer
pretty much,
quite a few times.
Yeah.
So it was an odd sidestep, if you will, but I honestly I think that's the only thing I like about Tenet. I don't dislike the movie, like in a sense of like it's well shot, well directed.
It just doesn't
all that
connect.
Stuff that you're going to get with a Nolan movie, but yeah, it just doesn't connect, and I have a few issues with the story, but not going to get into that. But yeah, just Ryan Coogler, grossly underrated, and
Agreed.
I think it's time for people to fucking straighten up.
I really hope the X-Files thing pans out.
Me too.
That would be really cool because I like his voice in horror, or at least in genre, I should say. Yeah,
you could tell he's a real student of the game. Especially, man, I just love how real he is and how likable he is. Mm-hmm. Even the time that he took to, I think, some of like the marketing campaigns with Sinners to actually explain why he shot the movie the way he did, kind of a little bit of education on film. I just thought that was really fascinating, and he had a very good way of like explaining things in a very digestible, layman's terms. Like you can see why the guy is a success because he's a very good communicator.
Definitely.
Sinners, I can't say anything bad about the movie as well. I just wanted to touch on that music piece that you mentioned, and that is just the dichotomy of the music at times that's in it. And it kind of takes a musical turn that I didn't necessarily expect, but also seeing it in the context of the movie, it's totally worth it. Totally makes sense. And I really love the movie. And again, this is spoiler free, but I love it because it gives me so many like From Dusk Till Dawn vibes too.
For sure.
There's a lot of that DNA in that movie. And that's, that was a very formative like horror movie for me, I'll have to say.
Yeah.
So
which reminds me,
anything call back to that.
I just bought my tickets to go see X in Los Lobos.
Oh, very cool.
They're playing at the Factory. I'm more excited to see Los Lobos than X probably, but I do like X, and that's no knock on them, but
Sure.
Los Lobos, I'm Legends. Like, fuck yeah, give me those guys.
That's sick. I didn't even know that was coming to St. Louis.
Yeah, October 11th, I think. Something like that.
Oh shit, that's
it's the night after horror trivia. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, works out. Just
don't
program your own late night movie for that weekend.
Yeah. I gotta figure that out.
Wear yourself out. Yeah. Well, Andy, it was a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah, man, likewise.
I always love staying in touch with you and going to the events. Even if it's stuff that maybe I didn't like in the past or ever give a chance. Yeah. Knowing that, you're curating these things, I will always give it a chance.
Awesome.
I respect your opinion. I think I've
wait until the marathon.
Well, I think I told you this previously. You're one of those people that, much like our mutual friend Eli LaChance, that sometimes you have perspectives that I don't agree with, but I super respect your reasoning.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
awesome.
So your reason for your POV on something that maybe I'm passionate about or that I like. You have sound reasons. They're not just, silly or, I didn't like his face or, yeah, right. So bringing nothing to the conversation as we have established here. But yeah, always respect your opinion. Always excited to see what you have in the works.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Of course, we're going to have everything in the episode details, as I mentioned earlier, as far as links, where to stay up to date with events, where to subscribe to the text service that we talked about. Everything's going to be there nice and easy for you folks. So check the jump there. Andy, sir, thank you so much for doing the program once again, sir.
Thank you. Always appreciate you.
Hello, this is Barrett from the ATI Podcast, here to talk about the MISC Compression Group. The various podcasts that make up the MISC Compression Group include ATI Podcast, Waxing On with R&J, Nod Narb's Closet from Ed Ozen, and It's Just Two Movies. The MISC Compression Group is a voice for the voiceless, a platform for those dream chasers. The various creative arms of the MISC Compression Group all have one goal in mind, and that is to bring a spotlight to underground artists and amazing artistic works. ATI Podcast, hosted by yours truly, focuses in on interviewing rising artists, content creators, and small businesses. Waxing On with R&J, hosted by brothers Ridge and Jake Jackson, gives love to physical media. It promotes purchasing physical media as a means to support artists, album reviews, details on production, in audio quality on various formats, all with the end goal in mind to give some love to some amazing artists. Outside of the physical media love, you're going to get reviews on recent concert-going experiences, as well as local show calendars. Narb's Closet focuses in on miniature painting, the D&D world, role-play games, as well as various niches in the hobbies of 40k Warhammer, Dungeons & Dragons, and tabletop RPGs. Led by Brandon Stewart of Ed Oz Inn, Narb's Closet brings attention to the many talented people involved in the hobby. It's Just Two Movies, hosted by Danny King in a rotating guest panel, covers just that, 2 movies. One critically acclaimed or favorably viewed, and a secondary movie probably not good, but the hope is that it is so bad that it's entertaining. Sit back, enjoy some libations to the velvety tones of Danny King and guests, with an injection of jocularity and improv comedy. The Manic Compression Group can be found across all podcasting platforms, but the full experience can always be enjoyed on YouTube. We thank you all. Stay safe out there.